Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight on episode 18, season 6 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're live every Wednesday on Facebook throughout the season. Evening, Richie. Well, the NRL provided us with a better round of matches this week, including a surprise Queensland win and the Panthers entering the top 8 after upsetting the Warriors at home. How are you and how was your weekend?
Doing well, thanks, Brad. Weekend was pretty good, all barring the Warriors loss. But we're winning so often this year, we'll take one on the chin, and as long as we bounce back. I'm doing well otherwise. How about you? How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Went to the game, obviously. Disappointing to have back-to-back home games end in losses, but good night out. They had a thing called the Legendary. You may have noticed it on TV, but not knowing what it was like a fluoro green makeshift dairy they made for V, the big promo with V at the moment. And you could go in and buy one of the Warriors can Vs and use a claw machine to try to win prizes. The missus won a t-shirt and a key ring, and I won nothing, man. Couldn't grab a ball to save my life.
Oh.
But apart from the loss, it was a good night out. So
it's good.
And happy that I got the Eels game right after all of you guys laughed at me last week saying there was no way the Eels would win. So we'll talk about that one a bit later. But while we're here live on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m., you can also catch our show at your convenience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know in the week that was rugby league, including our top stories of the week, a review of Origin Game 2 and the Round 16 matches. We'll then stop and look at the ladder, the fantasy teams, and the tipping comp. We'll then answer some questions from you guys as well as questions we're prepared for each other. And then we'll preview Round 17 and make our picks as unreliable as they have been this season. So remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show, and we may as well jump straight into the stories, mate.
Yeah, mate.
So there was an interesting one. I think we have covered this topic recently, but Clint Newton, the bane of everyone's existence when it comes to NRL, from the RRPA, has said that the NRL should temporarily increase the salary cap for Perth and the PNG expansion sides as they face unique challenges that established clubs don't have. I think in the wise words of Wayne Bennett, they shouldn't get any advantage if the Dolphins didn't. I'm on the same. I don't feel like these organizations or areas that bid for an NRL license, they know, the stuff that they have to do and the struggles they're going to have when they're making the decision to apply. So I think you should get extra bonuses. PNG already has it with the whole tax-free scenario, so they already have a bonus. How many players are going to take the tax-free option to go and live in Papua New Guinea, we don't know yet. But it's Clint just trying to be a bit of a nuisance again.
Might as well give us a bonus too. We have to travel 3 hours for every away game as well.
Yeah, and Simon's here, and he said he heard rumours that the Papua New Guinea team might be named the Angels. Yeah, I saw something from Peter V'landys. I've got a whole bit at the end about Papua New Guinea, but I didn't put that part in. Apparently, all of Papua New Guinea are going to vote on what the team name's going to be. So
it doesn't sound like a rugby league side, the Angels. What do you reckon?
I don't know.
Sounds like a baseball team.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think. I know we copy a lot of NFL teams. So I was trying to think of an NFL team that hasn't been used that could relate to Papua New Guinea, but I'm not sure. I feel like I can't remember the name. What's the name of the bird? It's the bird of paradise, isn't it? You can't really call them the birds of paradise.
They call them the headhunters or something along those sort of lines.
I don't know if they'll let us get away with that. And come on, PNG lads are all Angels. We'll see. We've got heaps of time before they give us that information, so we'll see. But I don't think they should get any extras. They knew what they were getting ready for. So in their defense, they haven't come out and asked for it. It's just him doing it. So
It's just Clint Newton.
yeah, he loves getting himself involved in everything. So yeah, anything else you want to add to that or nah?
No, all good.
And Simon's actually given us a reason for why they're called the Angels. It's something to do with World War II, that the local New Guinea were called Angels when the Australians fought the Second World War, stretcher bearers for the Australian Army, the Fuzzy Angel. But yeah, I don't think it correlates well to a rugby league team. But yeah, we'll see. We'll move on before I go down a rabbit hole. There was a lot of noise about Selwyn Cobbo, mate. So apparently he went to Sydney recently to hold discussions with the Dragons, as it looks like he's going to be squeezed out of the Broncos due to salary cap. Apparently the Dragons have pulled back a bit after hearing what he wants to get paid. The Cowboys are interested and Cowboys want him now, but the Broncos said no, they're not going to let him out of his contract. They're going to make him see out his deal before he goes anywhere. So I give them credit for forcing a player to see out his contract, but I still think he's a player they should be looking at trying to keep. Admittedly, it's not like he's going to move into the halves where they're going to need help when the 2 40-year-olds retire.
Can't keep them all, Brad. Can't
exactly.
Keep them all.
I feel like he's one you would keep though, but
they've got a roster full of those.
Yeah, and Bjorn said, would you recommend him going to the Dragons? I don't think anyone should go to the Dragons. That's career suicide. Poor Ben Hunt went back to the club that hates him just to get out of there. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. It definitely sounds like he's going to go. Cowboys don't seem to be worried about the cost. So it sounds like he'll probably go there. And Jacko mentioned signing news for the Broncos, which I'll cover in the signing section. But yeah, it kind of is the final nail in the coffin for Cobbo. But yeah, any thoughts on that or where you would like to see him go?
Dragons wouldn't be so bad, just as an addition to the outside backs. But yeah, it's going to depend a lot on what he's asking for, what his agent thinks he's worth. I mean, I wouldn't be paying close to $1 million for Selwyn. Hey, maybe it's me. Some people might, but yeah, there'll be plenty of suitors for sure.
And Jacko asked if he thinks Cobbo would be of use to the Warriors. I think he could, but I would never see him come here. And to get him here, you would have to pay him ridiculous money that he's not worth.
Which, yeah, I wouldn't be keen on.
Yeah, apparently he does have a Kiwi missus, but yeah, at the moment when you see some of our wingers and centers going down all the time, he could be handy to fit in there, but I don't think we'd get him at a price bracket that's worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it is. Next one, we kind of talked about it a few weeks ago, but it's official now. Ben Gardner, the Samoan coach, he has officially signed on as an assistant coach for Perth.
Big job on his hands.
We'll see how that goes. I haven't seen a lot of him, but I think it's going to be. I think Mal's going to need all the help he can get. So
that's what I mean. I think there's going to be some heavy lifting from some of the assistants there.
Yeah.
And
then this one I wanted to bring up because I thought you would have good info on it. Journalist Dean Richie stated.
I don't have good insight on anything, but go on.
Journalist Dean Richie has stated that he believes Ashley Klein should not be the referee for Origin 3, citing the 10-2 penalty counts in Queensland favour. It sounds like the NRL are going to pick him again, but what's your take on him not wanting him there because of the 10-2 penalty count?
I'm not a massive fan of Ashley Klein. Mind you, I struggle to find an NRL ref that I am a big fan of, but I'm going to cover a little bit in our our Origin breakdown, but yeah, citing that 10-2 penalty count is a bit of a reach because I think a lot of those penalties were justified and it was just down to poor discipline from New South Wales.
Yeah, I don't think they deserved all 10, but I definitely think they were on the wrong side of the penalty count for the right reasons. So, I think it's just a bit of an overreach. But Dean Richie, he loves saying random things to try to get people talking. So we'll move on. Benji Marshall may have got the kiss of death, mate. Shane Richardson, the Tigers CEO, has said that he's safe as their coach, regardless of where they finish on the ladder. I think it's still wise to give him a couple of years to kind of actually make some inroads, since they gave him pretty much none of the promised apprenticeship they were going to give him. So I want to take him at his word, but you can never trust these CEOs, mate.
They are on the up, though.
Yeah, I think they've definitely improved.
They were a whisker away from beating the top dog over the weekend, so they're heading in the right direction. It's no questioning that whatsoever. So hopefully he sticks to his guns and actually keeps him. But yeah, I don't see him as a coach on fire right now with how his team's going. When you compare it to how they have been going, I think this year so far has been, I wouldn't say it's success, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So sure,
long may that continue. Next one, the Bulldog.
It's strange that it's even been a topic of conversation, to be honest.
Well, you got to find something. The media in Australia got to find something to talk about with the Tigers.
Just seems strange to even have to say it.
Yeah. The Bulldogs, mate, have apparently showed Zion Maeu to rival clubs. He's only been with them 4 months since he got out of his contract with the Warriors to go there.
Quite the impression he made.
Yeah, I know there's been similar rumors I've heard that I heard from him as a Warrior and him as a Bulldog, where he's not the best trainer. And that's something apparently the Bulldogs have a lot of pride in, is how you train. So apparently that is one reason they're looking at getting him out. I'm a massive fan of him, but I can take bias out and say that if he was still with the Warriors, he wouldn't be in the 17 at the moment. He's definitely well below your Halasemas, your Labans, your Vaimangas, and your Stowell Smiths. So I'm sure a team will want to pick him up.
Yeah. It's a shame that that's the case, because out of all of that, he would have been one of the more highly touted ones originally. Yeah. And now it's just, let's hope he doesn't disappear into oblivion like some have.
Yeah, and Jacko's kind of said what I was thinking, or what I think with a lot of the young kids, in saying that Zion got way ahead of himself thinking he's a first grader before earning it. I think that's the problem with a lot of them. They get, I can't speak for it because I don't know him personally, but you always get that feeling a lot of the agents kind of talk to them saying, like, we need to get you out of here because you're a guaranteed first grader at any club but this one. And then they go out and, like you said, it's sink or swim time, and a lot of them don't swim. So, hopefully it's the wake-up call he needs. We've seen it. I know it's probably not the best example now due to him not getting as much time in first grade, but Bunty Afoa, he kind of got tarred with the same brush, and the Warriors said he was welcome to go, and he made the decision he was going to prove them wrong and stay, and he earned himself a new contract. And he gives us all when he goes out there still, despite not getting a lot of opportunities due to the fact that those young guns have just kind of hit the ground running and not looking back. But he perhaps needs a bit of an attitude adjustment for like Bunty to turn things around. But yeah, we'll see what happens with him, mate. The Bulldogs have also apparently shopping Toby Sexton around to other clubs too, which was expected but disappointing because I think he's been playing really well for them the past couple of weeks.
I think he's played well for them more than the past couple of weeks. I think he's just very unlucky and undeserving of that. But I guess the Bulldogs will stop at nothing in their pursuit of breaking the title drought.
Yeah. I know there were slight rumours about the Dragons were interested. Everyone at the Dragons was interested in Sexton bar the head coach due to the position he plays. So that seems to be a no-go, but I'm sure there's a club there that pick him up. But yeah, time will have to tell for him. It's a stink way of going, but it's a business. It doesn't matter how good you're going if the Bulldogs think they can get the next step on their reign to trying to become premiers. They're going to use the cattle they've got. So good luck wherever he goes. And then the Dragons as well, mate. They found the problem with their team. It's not Kyle Flanagan, it's Tyrell Sloan, and they've told him he's free to go immediately if he finds another deal. So if he can get another club interested, he is welcome to go. I think a few player teams would be interested in picking him up on a decent deal. I feel like they'll try to angle it so the Dragons have to pay some of his salary, but I'm sure there's a few teams there that would like to grab him for his potential alone. Consistency is an issue, but I don't know if that's a Sloan problem or a Dragons problem.
True. Very true. He's got so much going for him in terms of talent. It's just, consistency. And he's shown under the high ball and defensively, he can be a bit hit or miss sometimes too. But, geez, fast. You put him in any kind of space and he makes the most of it.
Yeah, so we'll probably get told tomorrow, mate, that he's signed with another team, but we'll wait. We'll keep going with the players being told they can go. The Tigers have apparently given Talon to Silva permission to negotiate with other clubs for an immediate move. Apparently, they did try to offer him to the Knights to do a straight swap so they could get Kai Pierce-Paul now, but the Knights said no. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Talent, he's a young talent. He's another one you could probably put in that area of wanting to be a first grader and maybe not getting there yet, but he wants to do it now. And you don't want to see Mal's already said he wants Api Coruscant, so you don't want to see them let Talon go and then find out that Api Coruscant is going to Perth and then they have no one. So I'm sure that must mean that they're pretty confident he's going to stick around.
There's got to be some value in biding your time a little bit, so especially when you're sitting under Api Coruscant. What better teacher could you have in your position?
Yeah, it's I've talked about it a lot on here. I think a lot of them have got to, sometimes rushing. It'd be great to be a first grader playing every week, but sometimes you got to bide your time.
Do an apprenticeship.
You look at Luke Metcalf, right? There was all the talks last year and the year before that Luke would potentially leave the Warriors because he wasn't playing. He was playing reserve grade. We don't know if that was potentially agitation from his manager or if it was just something, but he stuck it out. He was happy to learn under Sean, and now he is in a better situation to start his career as a halfback than he would have been if he went straight away and went to like the Tigers or something and said, I'm going to be your number 7. Tanner Boyd at the Warriors is probably another example. He's a guy that probably could be getting a first grade spot elsewhere, and he said no, and he's sticking with the Warriors. So even though he knows his chances of first grade are basically only if someone gets injured, he's happy to stay there in New South Wales Cup. So sometimes the players just need to take a step back and hopefully get that break at the right time as opposed to getting it too early. Because it can break players, which is segueing into my next one, mate. Josh Schuster from the Rabbits. He's taken an indefinite break from rugby league again to deal with personal issues. The South CEO, Blake Solly, said they're going to support him and their only priority is his welfare. He's again another one that maybe got his start a bit too early and fizzled out is probably the wrong way to say it, but hopefully this break get some where he needs to be mentally, and we'll see if he comes back or if that's him done. We're not sure.
Yeah, feel for him, hey. Amazing talent, just maybe everyone telling him how talented he was
the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's got to be tough for people with personal issues and mental health issues, and you're in the limelight. Can't be easy.
Yeah, definitely. Then this one I thought would be interesting because Tommy Turbo has been doing very well in the media at trying to divert attention away from it. But there was noise that Tommy Turbo is not happy with Anthony Seibolt's decision to move him into the centres. He admitted in a press conference and asked about it that he was shocked at the decision, but is happy to do what is best for the team, despite multiple people saying he doesn't agree with the idea. I watched the interview, and you could kind of see through the PC answers and see like he wasn't happy, but you're not going to come out and say it. Apparently there was other bits of news popping up saying that the Manly have made the decision to move him to centre until he gets his confidence back, and then they'll move him to fullback again, which makes no sense. I feel like taking you out of your position is probably a massive hit to your confidence as opposed to making it better. But I think it's the right call, though. I think they're going to be. I feel like they're going to be a stronger team with him at centre and Hopewadi at fullback than Hopewadi missing out on the team and having Tom here, who isn't playing his best at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Tommy, if he is 100% fit 100% of the time, then there is no better option for fullback. But because that's not how he's built, there's a lot of good reasons why you would move him to centre.
Yeah.
A lot less running, a lot less attrition on those legs, which always break down. And you're giving a great opportunity to the club's future at fullback.
I don't know. We're Warriors fans. Centre's the most daunting position when it comes to injuries. Every centre we have just drops down, man. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I think it's there. And Keith Whitelock's here as well. He said it's still weird to me that we're now a club where players are getting better, not worse. I.e. Metcalf, Barnett, Egan, Aaron Clark. Yeah, it used to be. We used to be the running joke where the Warriors were the place careers went to die, or you came to retire, and now you are getting. I always talk about Barnett. He is the perfect advertisement to get Australian players to come here. Barnett came over here as a thug who I loved so much because of his thugness, but he was never taken seriously as a leader of a team or a rep player. And, he's become a leader, plays Origin, played for Australia. That's all stuff that you can show saying, look at this. And yeah, you look at Metcalf, up with Dally M. People are sometimes talking about him, should we put him in Origin as well? It's just great. And Wade Egan's probably one player away from being an Origin player if there was one injury. But yeah, it's a great position to be in, which we're not used to. And Jacko said he thinks Seibolt's on the outer with players. No proof. There are rumours from some square-headed guy that Ennis wants this job. Yeah, Ennis came out and said he doesn't want it, which is kind of usually the first thing you say when you're trying to steal a job off someone. So we'll see. But yeah, I think there's a lot of issues in the background. DCE's leaving. Seibolt kind of rubs his teams wrong wherever he goes. So that's kind of part of his DNA. So that could be a part of it. We just have to wait and see. And Mark Roberts said is Sloan one that the PNG team could look at. They're a bit too far away. I think you're more likely to see him go to Perth if the current team doesn't want him because they're coming sooner rather than later. But someone will pick him up. I see him in an NRL team. And Cowboys are desperate for people. Maybe they'll grab him. They can't get Cobbo straight away. They could get Sloan.
Or he might go to Super League and just carve up.
Yeah. Potentially. I think he's far too young and talented to go up there yet. But yeah, we'll see. We'll move on, mate. There's noise that the ARLC have approached Wayne Bennett and want him involved in some way with the Papua New Guinea side. I think I kind of said to you ages ago, might have been last season on the show, that Wayne Bennett's job right now is going to be the startup coach for all the new teams they want to bring in. He'll just get moved. But we haven't heard if he's actually interested or not. The Rabbits also want him to stay. They want to extend him with them as well. So he's at a ripe old age where everyone still wants his services, which is a great position for him to be. But yeah, what do you reckon? Do you think Wayne Bennett is the answer to get PNG hitting the ground running?
I don't know. I just feel like Wayne Bennett's name's the one that sort of gets floated about
with everyone.
Whenever there's a need for some kind of coaching game in the NRL. But yeah, I mean, obviously he'd do a good job. Whether or not Wayne wants to
move to Papua New Guinea,
pursue that kind of challenge at his age, I don't know. I wouldn't be so keen, especially I think he's got a good thing going at the Bunnings.
Yeah, you just never know with Wayne. He's always seems to be the guy that wants that challenge. So he might decide, bugger it, I want that challenge. Let's move me to Papua New Guinea and let's start this. Or he might go, I'm getting a bit long in the tooth. I might just stay at Souths. We'll see. It sounds like the Rabbits are willing to probably pay him whatever he wants to stay. So you have a lot of reasons to stick around, but time will tell. But speaking of PNG, mate, Peter Landis did a bit of a press tour about it. He spoke about the new venture, and someone asked him about, did he have any concerns that they would not be competitive in the NRL? And he said he's got no concerns with that at all, and he's actually worried that they're going to dominate the comp and they could be the next Panthers very easily. That's a mighty claim for a club that has no coach, has no players yet. I feel like it's.
He's trying to sell it.
I want to see them do well, but I feel like you're setting them up to fail when you're saying they're going to be like a dominant force in the NRL.
Yeah.
You want to see it. You don't want to see a team come in and be like just a buy round for every other team in the comp because they're an easy win. I'm not saying that's going to be the approach, but yeah, I think maybe cool the Jets on promoting them too much straight away. Let them actually get a squad together first before we start talking about how great they're going to be. He also visited the proposed site of where their accommodation centre of excellence is going to be, and said it's going to be turned into a resort-style area for the players and wives. And Jacko said, like the Titans. I was going to say like the Titans, but I bit my tongue. But yes, they're a team that have come into the NRL as a new team and haven't really had any success. They've had a couple of good years sporadically, but nothing to write home about. Throwing stones in the glass house as a Warriors fan, but we've made 2 grand finals, so we can say we've lost the final game of the season twice. But yeah, so he's promoting Papua New Guinea hard at the moment, and it's still going to be all about seeing what happens. Mar Rover said he's sucking off the government to try to get more money from them, pretty much. But yeah, we'll see what happens. You got any takes on Papua New Guinea, or is it still too far away and we should focus more on the next team coming in, which is Perth?
Yes, you said it best.
All right, so we'll move on to signings, mate. As I told you before we jumped on, I've got a couple more added today. But the Broncos have officially announced that they've extended Adam Reynolds for 1 year. We knew it was happening. We just needed to wait for them. They've also added the extension of Katoni Staggs until the end of 2028 and Josiah Karapani until the end of 2027. So that's good signings. And they've also signed Grant Anderson on a 2-year deal. So as Jacko said earlier,
Cobbo.
Yeah, Cobbo's gone. But yeah, I think it was kind of always the rumors was going to be they were going to be able to keep Staggs or Cobbo. It was just going to depend which one. On face value, I think Staggs would be the option I would stick with as well. But and Karapani has showed a lot of potential as well in the brief moments we've seen him. So I think all decent extensions, and Grant Anderson is a good addition as well. The Tigers have also upgraded Heath Mason to their top 30 and extended him until the end of 2026. I've kind of liked the look of him at the moment.
Yeah, he's decent, hey?
Yeah, he's no Luke Galvin, but he's a handy player, and he actually wants to be there, which is a bonus. And yeah, no one's Lockie Galvin, so it was always going to be hard. But yeah, he looks like he's doing well, and I think a bit more development and time with Luai, I think that could be a decent little halves pairing.
Yep.
Roosters extended Naf White until the end of 2029. So I think that's a great deal for him and great deal for them.
Very good.
And then the two new ones we got, mate. Oh, I've already announced one, Broncos with Grant Anderson, but Jack DeBellin, 3 weeks ago, mate, he was in the media saying how he's really looking forward to re-signing with the Dragons and wanted to be a Dragon long term. He's now signed with the Eels. 2-year deal from next year. So Riles is slowly filling the roster and the idea that he wants. Handy pickup for them. I think he's been one of the better forwards for the Dragons, which isn't saying much, but
he's still got a bit left in him.
Yeah. And Mark Roberts has made a good point, actually. Cobbo to the Roosters to replace Marky Mark, who's rumoured to be going back to Union. Yeah, I forgot to put that in the news. Marky Mark signed a short deal because he still had the dream to play in I think it's 2027 Rugby World Cup, Paul?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul just woke up from his sleep. So he has said that he still would like to play in that Rugby League, Rugby Union World Cup. I feel like if that is the decision they do, I feel it's just as easy he could go there, and then after that and after, I don't know, Wallabies make it to maybe the quarterfinals at best, Paul, then he could come back to the NRL.
If you're wanting to make it to the 2027 World Cup, why go to a different game? Why go to a different sport?
Because he wanted to play a good sport. I don't know. That's probably more a question for Paul.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Australian rugby was a bit of a mess with the Rebels going bust, and a lot of players suddenly on the market. People weren't sure who had contracts, who wasn't going to get contracts. There was a lot of uncertainty around the place. And if someone can offer you a couple of year deal, and the other was saying, well, you've got to wait for 6 months while we figure things out, you can see why he jumped. And he's shown himself to be pretty good, right? He's it's look, if he does come back to Union for a couple of years, he's not going to struggle for a contract to go back to NRL.
No. Yeah, I think he could go do it, and then if he does decide to come back, either the Roosters will take him back again, or any other team would probably grab him with how well he's adapted. But yeah, time will tell. He might get the bug. We're Kiwis, so it's a bit different. I feel like I would only be interested in leaving and going to the World Cup if I believe the Wallabies had a chance of winning it. Like, do you want to go back and play just to say you've been in it and you didn't win the World Cup, or do you want to go back because you actually believe there's a chance of winning? I don't know. But yeah, he's going so well at the moment, so I don't want to lose him from my fantasy team for the next couple of years. I'm going to keep him around. We'll go to injuries, mate. There was quite a few. So I grade the big ones. So Fletcher Sharp's obviously the biggest one this week, mate. So he failed his HIA, which is an 11-day stand down, but that was the least of his worries. He got rushed to hospital with a lacerated kidney and a ruptured spleen. Sounds very likely that he might be out for the season. You go back and watch the tackle. It looks like any normal tackle. And apparently the damage was done. He said apparently he'd landed on his elbow, and his elbow did all the damage to himself. But yeah, hopefully he gets through it. Apparently the Knights sent his missus over to Perth where they are playing, and she's over there with him now, which is a good gesture from the club. It's not like getting an Uber and sending her down to the hospital in Sydney. It's a massive trip. But yeah, hopefully he gets on the mend, and he's been doing all right for a lackluster Knights team. So it would be great to see him back this year, but getting better is the number one priority. So
yeah, definite blow to my fantasy team. But on a more serious note, yeah, it's just a reminder how easily it can all go wrong in this game, hey?
Yeah, definitely. And Mark Roberts said, I hope that I sold him in fantasy. I never had him. I'm actually reasonably good at fantasy compared to Richard. So not
That's
compared
not
to you,
saying
though.
much. It's not
much,
Brad.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever bet Mark in fantasy, so I can't be too cocky. But then Jack Bostock, mate, from the Dolphins, ruptured his ACL, is gone for the season as well after having that amazing game last week. It's hindsight, but he was just getting all his season's tries out in one game, mate, before he was done. So, yeah, hopefully he bounces back from that and, is hitting the ground running next year. Sua Wong from the Roosters did his MCL. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Jerome Buller from the Tigers did his hamstring. He's out for 4 weeks. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak from the Warriors, he did a syndesmosis injury, 4 to 6 weeks as well. It's been a horror year for poor DWZ, mate.
For all Warriors outside backs.
Yeah. Jaden Campbell passed his HIA but developed Category 1 symptoms later on and will have this 11-day stand down. And Victor Radley from the Roosters will be out for at least 4 weeks to deal with the most recent concussion. So we're still having issues. I did have Murata on here because I thought he failed his HIA, but he didn't fail. He just broke his nose. So he is good to go. I'm a bit disappointed that if it was only a broken nose, he didn't come back out and play, mate. But he's definitely a second rower pretending to be a prop, not the other way around. Props would have come back. I won't say that to his face. Anything you want to add to the injuries or nah?
Nah, I'm happy.
All right, naughty boy corner. We actually got.
We know you won't say things to the face of backs as my forwards, with Pompey, for example.
Pompey's a big guy in real life, Paul. And I still criticize Pompey when I have to, just not in person, because I'm a coward.
He's a solid boy.
He's a very. I don't like having to look up at players. I'm not used to it. But yeah, naughty boys. Riley Smith from the Eels, grade 2 dangerous throw, 2 matches. Will Penasini, this is one I had to sell in my fantasy, mate. 3 matches, grade 2 dangerous throw. It was a decent tackle. But yeah, unfortunately, I got him a few weeks ago. Have to let him go. And Carl Walden from the Cowboys, grade 3 dangerous contact, 2 matches. And then Scott Sorensen from the Panthers, a hip drop, 2 matches. What's your take on that one? I didn't ask you about the rest, but I know that one will hurt you more. I didn't think it was that bad, but it does slap you in the face when he injures a Warriors player by accident, uses that injury to his advantage to score a try straight after that. We lose that player for 4 to 6 weeks and he gets 2. I don't think it was as deliberate as it was completely an accident and not as hardcore as hip drop tackles have been. But yeah, I feel it's disappointing when you see a guy get a suspension and you didn't even get a penalty for it.
Yeah, that's just the way it is sometimes. I'm just not a fan of hip drop suspensions and penalties in general. Most of them, to me, just always feel like they fall under the accidental category.
Yeah,
and if Union isn't penalising stuff like that, then hey,
yeah,
they penalise everything over there.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think 2 weeks is fine for what they've done. But yeah, it was disappointing. But credit to him and the Panthers seeing Dallin hopping and not being able to put any weight on it and running his way. That's. It's unfortunate for us as Warriors fans, but that's smart footy. So we'll talk about that, unfortunately, in a bit. But we'll move on to the round, starting with Origin, mate, with Queensland doing what we all thought they wouldn't, mate, and beating New South Wales 26-24.
Mate, I never thought it was out of the question. I was saying to you, they love that underdog tag. But yes, 26-24. Queensland actually scored less tries. 2 to the Hammer, 1 to Cam Munster, 1 to Kurt Capewar. And for the Blues, Brian Sorrell had a hat-trick, Stephen Crichton and Angus Crichton. The Crichtons both dotting down. So it was actually 5 tries to 4, but the goal kicking of Valentine Holmes won out in the end.
Yeah, New South Wales don't know how to goal kick this series, do they?
They certainly don't. Yeah.
And I gave Queensland no chance, and naturally I put money on them. So I was happy that I can't pick a game to save myself. But Queensland started strong and looked better in comparison to game 1. They were able to build pressure with New South Wales not towing the line with the referee. Forwards got the edge over their opposition this time, and Munster appeared to step up in his new role as captain. Got a bit too comfortable, I think, in the second half, and some silly errors and tiring defence almost saw them let the game slip. I think another 5 minutes, and we're talking about a New South Wales win. That's kind of how it felt. But yeah, a solid, much-needed win for them to keep the series alive.
Yeah, I should have picked an upset here. I didn't know with New South Wales, but Queensland just love it when they're the underdog, and yet they weren't getting a lot of fanfare after game 1, but they took full advantage of New South Wales' poor discipline and handling in the first half and stormed out what proved to be an unassailable lead in the end. But yeah, just a bit concerning that second half, because I think overall New South Wales were poor over the course of the 80 minutes, and goal kicking aside, they probably could and should have won this game. So,
but
they
scored 5 tries to 4 tries of they scored more tries and they lost.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it's almost a case of New South Wales losing it rather than Queensland winning it. But you got to give Queensland credit because they were able to take advantage of New South Wales' poor showing in the first half.
Yeah, and your thoughts on New South Wales?
Just awful discipline from them early on, and that cost them. There was plenty of talk about the penalty count. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I honestly couldn't pick out too many that weren't justified, and some of them were just flat out dumb. The Lomax elbow in a tackle, Luai face grab, numerous high tackles where it just felt like they got their aggression wrong, and it cost them. But they did a fantastic job in the second half to nearly pull off. I think it would have been the biggest Origin comeback. But yeah, they set themselves up to lose.
Was this a case of them trying to play Origin rules rather than league rules? How the ref's supposed to put his whistle in the pocket? You think they were trying to do that, and they thought, what, none of this shit gets blown. We can just go for it.
I guess you could say that, and I think it was the opposite in game 1. I think it was Queensland getting pinged with a lot of those silly penalties.
Yeah. And Jacko said rig for the decider, it means millions more money for the NRL. He's got the tinfoil hat on already. I must say I've never been a fan of New South Wales, but watching that game and watching how much dark arts they wanted to inject into it, I was slowly turning my allegiance. The Lomax elbow was a thing of beauty, mate. Jerome Luai, I know he did an eye gouge, but he was trying. It was beautiful. You're not meant to do it with the camera right in on you, though. So we'll talk to Laurie Daly, see if he needs to fly me over and teach them a bit more about how to doing it properly.
Well, this is the problem with it all being removed from NRL. They've lost the skills in how to do it without getting caught.
Yeah. And you don't always have to make it so aggressive. You can do something simple like just rubbing dirt in their eyes on the ground, so they have to rub their face, and you get a couple extra seconds. You got to be smart about it. But they were just too ill-disciplined, mate. After I just went on about how great it was to see. I know you already mentioned it. We mentioned already as well. I know the penalty count was all everyone talked about. And while it may have been higher than it should have been, they were still pushing the envelope too much. And I think they got, I'd say at least 7 of the 10 were valid. So, at best it might have been like 7-4. with if Queensland got a couple more. Still on the wrong side of it. They were bullied up front as well. Spencer Leniu, he was top dog in that last one. He was a little puppy in this one, mate. All that aggression was gone. He even became best friends with Ezra Mam afterwards. That's how far backwards he went. So, yeah, and they just took too long to get into the contest. Did look a brand new side in the second half when they actually decided to play, and showed that they are the better side out of the two with that comeback, but they just need to work on the basics before game 3. And, you can sit here and argue like everyone was doing, saying we got penalised too much. You're going to get the same ref now. You know what he's going to ping. So you just,
adjust.
You know the line. You adjust. It's every ref is different, even in the NRL as well. You got to adjust on the fly to how that ref is calling the game, and that's just not what they did. Paul said Harry Grant, Kurt Capewell, and Brian all got 66 in fantasy. Who'd you go with, Matt?
Capewell. Had to, man. What a performance. I didn't even know he had that level still in him, but yeah.
Man, he's having a cracker year.
No, I know he is, but the difference between playing makeshift centre and back rower, sort of juggling that at NRL level and then stepping up in a must-win Origin and to play the level he did was, I didn't think he had that level in him, but he was fantastic, yeah. He some of his defence, I think he must have jarred 2 or 3 knock-ons just with his defence and the try, and he's just so heavily involved. So super proud as a Warriors fan.
Yeah, it's just effort. He always gives you 110%, which is probably a reason why Billy brought him in for that factor. But I didn't go with him because I had a feeling you would. I went with Munster. Think Millie, the second half wasn't probably his finest hour, but I think there was probably a lot of pressure on him. You get given the captaincy. Your former captain gets kicked out of the team, so there's a lot of eyes on you. It's a must-win game to keep the season alive, so a lot of pressure, and I think he kind of flourished. We're just going to see if he backs it up in game 3. You can be all good in this game, but if you're shit house on the next one, no one's going to remember this, are they? So
true.
So we'll move on to the actual NRL now, mate. We kicked off on Friday night with the Raiders probably tighter than they expected, beating the Tigers 16-12.
Yeah, definitely. 3 tries to the Raiders, Joey Tapine, Jed Stewart, Ricky Stewart's son, and Tom Starling. And for the Tigers, Alex Seyfarth and Stafford Toa.
Yeah, Raiders started strong here with a dominant first half, but left plenty of points go to waste with some costly errors. Looked to get the wobbles in the second half when the Tigers started fighting back, but their defense in the final 20 minutes got them home. That's something you've seen from them this year, their fitness. They just managed to be able to, at the back end of a game, just hold on if they have to. But yeah, not their best performance of the season, but another hard-fought win that keeps them in the hunt for the minor premiership.
Nice. Now, let me just recycle exactly what you said in different words. I thought the Raiders had to absorb some early pressure from the Tigers, but found their feet, put their stamp on the first half with a 16-0 lead. Their attack struggled in the second, but their defense was good enough to hold out the Tigers in a tight finish. Pretty much what you said.
Yeah. You just use ChatGPT and ask them to reword my phrases that I sent you.
Was that what you did? Because that was pretty close.
Well, I give my notes to you before you write them, so I have no idea what you're going to say.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes.
Yeah. This week I did. So, but yes, Paul.
I mean, if you look at stats, though, this is a Tigers win all day long. They led all runs. They led all run meters.
No.
They had post contact meters, tackle breaks, average set distance, kick return meters. They had more offloads, more receipts, more passes, more dummy passes. They had more forced dropouts, more bombs, more grubbers. They made less tackles. They missed less tackles. They had less ineffective tackles. They had, admittedly, had a few more errors and one more penalty, but less ruck infringements. The vast majority of the stats are all on the Tigers' side.
That's why you got to watch the game and not look on that website with all those numbers. Numbers mean nothing, Paul. The only numbers that count are the ones on the scoreboard. Yeah.
And now I just recycle everything Paul said. The Tigers can take plenty away from this. They completed well. They had better attacking and defensive stats. Good
Is
job,
that all?
Paul. No.
I
I just thought it was funny because I pretty much said the same thing as Paul. They made 16 errors and some at costly times, which hurt them in the end. But a good effort to almost pick up the upset against probably the best side in the comp so far this year. So I think they can take a fair bit out of it.
So all I'm hearing from that is you want me to send the show notes to Paul before they start, so he doesn't steal your thunder anymore.
Oh man, that's the one time I went down the stats route, and Paul had me covered, so that's good.
I try to avoid the stats because I know Paul's always about those stats.
True, very true.
The Tigers, they were just too error prone and were caught by surprise in the Raiders in the first 30 when their defense didn't show up. They dusted themselves off and made a match of it in the second half, but struggled to find that winning try with the Raiders D dialed in. Disappointing loss for the Tigers, as I think this is a game they let slip, but as we already said in the news section, they are definitely heading in the right direction. I think they would take this. They'd take a 4-point loss to the second place team any day of the week compared to a lot of the results they got last year. Joseph Tapani, top fantasy, was 69. Nice. Who'd you pick?
Nice. Yeah, I went that way too.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
Thought he's great. Got a nice try. He's always up there in the stats, which Paul loves. So, I had to go with him. Next game. Panthers defeating the Warriors 28-18.
Yep. Let's rip this band-aid off nice and quick. 5 tries to 3 for the Panthers. Tom Jenkins, Scott Sorensen with 2, Blaze Talangi and Paul Alamotti for the Waz. Jacko Ford, Jakey Laban, and Mwala Graham Talfa right towards the end there.
Oh, he almost didn't get it, mate. He got the speed wobbles. Panthers came with a point to prove. Many, including myself, wrote them off before this game, but they were solid. I think I said in my review this week, Ivan's not normally this guy, but I can see him flashing back to last year Magic Round when that journalist asked him, how does it feel to be beaten by a New South Wales Cup Warriors team, basically? And I could see that in the back of his head going, we're going over as the New South Wales Cup team. We're going to smash them. And now we're even. But the forwards won the battle up front, and their offloads disrupted the Warriors' defense almost at ease. That second phase footy is continuing to just make the Warriors struggle. And defensively, they just got up in the Warriors' faces all night and never allowed them to gain control. A bit cliche, but it just looked like they wanted it more. Could be the win that gets them back on track. Your thoughts on the Panthers?
Yeah, I just thought it was a courageous win. With all the Origin players out against the high-flying Warriors team in Auckland, the odds were definitely against them. But I thought they came with the same game plan they always do, just with the next man up mentality, and which was in full force. And they just squeezed the Warriors out of this one. So to do it with so many factors against them makes it all the more impressive. And it could be, Brad. It could be a win that sets them up for a big end to the year.
Still a good side. I feel like second string is rude with the talent they had there, but
it is facts though. It's second string for them.
Yeah, a lot of their big talent gone. But your thoughts on the Warriors?
I think maybe this is just the wake-up call result I've been expecting at some point, and I've been tipping against the Warriors for a couple of weeks now, expecting it, but it hasn't eventuated. I finally tipped us, and then we drop a game. So I think I just have to tip against us for the rest of the year.
Just help us out.
Yeah, but I didn't expect the wake-up call to be in this round against the weakened Panthers team who haven't been at their best this year. But I guess I can't fault the effort from the boys, but our attack went a little bit cold again this week, which it has done at times this year. I'm just hoping we take the lessons out of it and get back on track.
Yeah, I was disappointed with the performance from the Warriors here. It felt like, I know Webby came out and said it wasn't the case, but it felt like they took the Panthers too lightly, and weren't prepared for the level of competition the second stringers would bring. The losses of Murata Niokore in the first 12 minutes and then Dallin didn't help them either, not making excuses for them. And while they did show some great goal line defense, they continue to struggle with that second phase footy, which has been their issue all year. A tough loss to take, but plenty of lessons they can learn from it as they look to bounce back this week. And Jacko said, we had an off game. The Panthers were on. They kicked our ass. It happens. No worries for me. Some of the fan comments are outrageous, though. There were a lot of people that were basically, get rid of all of them and kick them out of the comp type reactions. I don't see it. 10-point loss to the Panthers when, this is a Panthers team, they already thrashed the Broncos this year and have spurts of moments. It's just they're not doing it every week. And I'd much rather lose by 10 to a second-string Panthers team than when we got 66 put on us by the Titans last year.
True.
So if it was, a 40, 50-point smashing, I would be more concerned. But, losing by 10 here, the Raiders almost lost to the Tigers. If they had lost to the Tigers, would everyone be saying they're gone as well? So, yeah, it's disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. And I think it's probably come at the right time. And unfortunately, the Warriors are always a little bit slow after a bye. So,
yeah, true.
But, yeah. Scott Sorensen, Aaron Clark, top fantasy was 68. Who'd you go with, mate?
Yeah, went Sorensen. I thought he really stood out and led the young Panthers side very, very well.
Yeah, I went with him too, even though he injured Dallin, and that he got a double and was strong. And Paul actually brought up a good point as well, saying the Panthers' last 8 games have been 5 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. So they're, it's not like it was their first win in months. And yeah, Jacko also said the Dolphins put 40 on the Storm not long ago. It does happen. Yeah, I'll take it. We just don't want to see them get pants this week. Then I'd be a bit more concerned. But yeah, we're just not used to losing that much this year, mate. So
I know, it hurts.
It's just a different feeling. We just got to remember 2024. But yeah, we'll move on to the next game. The Dolphins losing to the Knights 26-20.
Yeah, 5 tries to 4. For the Knights, Fletcher Sharp, Bradman Best had 2. Dom Young on return, dotted down, and Brody Jones. For the Finns, Cody Nikorima, Connolly Lemuelu, Jermaine Isako, and the Hammer.
Yeah, a tough, well-deserved win for the Knights. They were going try for a stretch, but they just kept getting stronger as the game progressed. Dom Young looked right back at home in his old club and put in a strong display. And they were able to just disrupt the Dolphins' attack enough to keep them contained. Very positive result for the Knights as they look to turn their season around.
Yeah, I thought it was just what the doctor ordered for the Knights. The Dolphins have been flying of late, but the Knights did well to contain them to a degree. And I think this was definitely one of their better games this year in terms of their attack, because they've been awful, their attack this year, but they actually looked like they wanted to play a little bit of footy this weekend. When they do that, they have plenty of talent. So, yeah, much needed win. Hopefully we see some more of it.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Dolphins?
Yeah, I just think they looked a touch flat. They've been riding a wave, and they just looked a bit off compared to where they have been over the past few weeks. But for mine, when this team's on, they're easily a top 8 team. The way they were playing when they were in their purple patch. Losing Bostock stings a little bit, but I think that this year's version of the Dolphins has that next up mentality as well. They've lost big names already this year. Max Plath and the key figures in their team, and they just seem to keep marching on. So Yeah, I expect them to get back on track.
Yeah, the Dolphins still showed their attacking prowess in moments in this match, but they just lacked the polish that we've seen in the past fortnight. The early exit of Bostock, as you mentioned, took some of that attacking spark away, which didn't help them. And they let themselves down a little with some poor defensive reads. Have been on a hell of a run the past few weeks, though, so this loss will hurt them. But I'm sure they can turn things around instead of falling back into the performances they were delivering at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, it's just a little blip, I think. Who was your player to stand out?
Big Bad Bradman Best.
Yeah, I went with Bradman Best as well.
Thought he's really good.
Nice double, and just when
Try
he's in
assist
that
as
type
well.
of mood, when he's in that type of mood, he's a hard man to stop. And yeah, Best and Herbie Farm with both topped with 750 points. We'll go to the next game. Haven't had one in a while, mate. Golden Point, Storm defeating the Rabbits 25-24.
I enjoyed this one, actually. 5 tries to 4. Again, another game where a team with more tries lost this weekend. So Alex Johnston, as he does, 4 tries for the Rabbitohs, really put himself a lot closer to the record this week. And Tyron Munro was the other try scorer. For the Storm, Harry Grant, Jerome Hughes, Grant Anderson, and Tyron Wishart. Pappy was on with the boot, 4 out of 4 conversions, and then he was also the one that kicked the field goal, got the match winner.
Yeah. It wasn't always pretty, but the Storm stayed calm and delivered when it counted. They were composed under pressure, and their big names stepped up. Defense was strong in the closing stages too, and they just kept creating chances despite the Rabbits' late fight back. A gutsy win that showed their experience and cool heads in clutch moments. This could have been a game that any other team could have fumbled easily. But, they just, when push comes to shove, they know how to win when they have to, as ugly as it may be. But your thoughts on the Storm?
Yeah, I thought they were looking decent to start off with. And then, they were creating plenty of second phase and looking like they might be too classy with the ball. But, they did – the tide did turn, and then they had to do their best to withstand the Bunnies coming home with the wet sail. I thought they did well to hold out a couple of late raids from the Bunnies to hang on for Golden Point, and then they were able to win it from there. So that's just what they do. They have the ability to obviously lay points on teams, but they're just a team that wins. So when it gets into that situation, more often than not, they come out on the right side.
Yeah, and Checo said bellyache was hilarious in the box. Yeah,
he was.
He's not going to be a guy that can be like Wayne Bennett and coaching at that late age, because he's going to pop a valve.
No, he's the best. I love it.
Yeah, but you see him. He throws his little rage fits even when they're like 20 points ahead in the game as well. It's funny. You want every individual moment has something to piss him off. But your thoughts on the Rabbits?
Yeah, the Bunnies almost pulled a rabbit out of the hat here. Thank you. Again, they showed plenty of grit and some really silky plays from Latrell to set up some signature left corner tries and accelerate AJ towards the record. They couldn't finish the job, though, but they were certainly close. Again, I think much like the Tigers, pushing the Raiders, I think the Rabbitohs can take a bit out of the fact that they took the premiership favourites to Golden Point, and probably for a decent part of it looked like the more dangerous team. Yeah,
and Bellyache might want to talk to Bennett, because this was a very tense game, and Bennett looked like he was either not paying attention or in a coma. I'm not sure which. So he didn't get affected by the stress. But the Rabbits let this one slip with too many basic errors in key moments. Those errors gave the Storm extra chances, and their defense wasn't tight enough. With too many missed tackles in the middle. Started to show promise in the second half with Alex Johnson put in on a hell of a show. Their goal kicking was off, which cost them heavily. Needed to bring in an 80-minute effort if they want to take on the big dogs. If Latrell got 80% of his goal kicks, they win this game. It's as simple as that.
And he normally strikes them so sweet. I just remember back to when they nearly snuck home against us, and he was just nailing them from everywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, that's footy for you, mate. And Latrell Mitchell top fantasy was 75 and Harry Grant had 68 to be the best for the Storm. Who'd you go with? I have a feeling we're going to know because
mate.
there is a rule.
There is a rule. Anything over 2 tries. No, Johnston with the 4 tries. Obviously, I think 3 of them lovely balls from Latrell to set, but then he's got the runaway as well. He just finds he finds his way to the line. He's got a magnet on him and the try line.
Yeah. And he's scoring them in bunches now too. So it feels like it's just sooner rather than later he's going to get the record. So he's not too far away. Get a couple more hat tricks and stuff, and he could be there in a couple of weeks. You never know. So I went with him too. I think it's going to be amazing when he breaks the record. And Paul C. Poppins is still top for tries this season with 12. No one cares about how many this season. It's the of all time, Paul. That's Johnson's going for. He doesn't care about that. He's had enough leading try scorer in the NRL in his career. He's letting the young ones do it. He's just trying to nail away the most tries of all time.
Well, he is on 11, just one behind. But then again, there are 5 players on 11 tries. So it is very, very tight at the top there for the try scoring table at the moment.
I think AJ's strike rate must be better though. He's missed a couple of games at least this year.
He has, and he had so many. He probably would have already passed the record if he didn't get injured so much last year as well.
Yeah, so AJ's 11 tries come from 7 games, whereas Pappenhausen's 12 tries have come from 13 games.
Yeah, see, not good enough, Pat. Honestly. We'll go to the next game. The first game on Sunday, the Broncos defeating the Sharks 34-28.
True game of 2 halves. 6 tries to 5 for the Broncos. Corey Pakes, Ezra Mam, Shibasaki had 2, and Karapani had 2. For the Sharkies, Siosifa Talakai, Will Kennedy. There you go, Brad. Will Kennedy with 2 tries. Or did you sell him?
I sold him. We talked about this last week. He didn't. He still scored less than the guy I brought in anyway. He doesn't score even though we got 2 tries.
Yeah. Weird. Okay. So Will Kennedy had 2, Nico Hines and Blake Brayley.
Yeah, I think fantasy-wise, Paul can double-check it, but I think he got like 32 or 34.
Oh, my.
And even though he got a double. And the young guy I got in his place, I think may have just underscored him.
Sounds like Kennedy would fit in well in my squad.
Yeah. But the Broncos looked rusty in the first half, unable to convert half chances into tries and looked to be on the way to a humiliating defeat. It was great to see their fans at home looking so upset. But they flipped the switch in the final 30 minutes of the game, showcasing their attacking skill, line breaking, offloading at will. A very hard team to stop when they get momentum on their side, and they do have me very worried this week if they play with that expansive style in mind.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Their start was really poor, but I think the turning point was scoring just before halftime through Ezra Mam. From there, they just seemed to grow into the game more and more, and we started to see some touches from some of their X Factor players that gave us a gentle reminder they're more than capable if they stay injury free and on track. Consistency, again, just for them, consistency. But yeah, hell of a comeback. I feel like these comebacks always seem to happen to the Sharks. But yeah, big win from the Broncos.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Sharks?
I feel like it was just a big choke job. They were 22-6 up heading into halftime. But as soon as the Broncos crossed before halftime, it was almost like quicksand. And the more they tried, the worse it got. I have to give them credit for a great first half. They looked really good there, but losing from that position is just unforgivable.
Yeah, Jacko said Sharks on a real slide. It's kind of similar to what I'm about to say. The Sharks started well and looked to be doing everything right, The pack looked up to the challenge. The backs were executing some nice attacking plays off the back of the forwards' hard work. And then maybe they just got a bit too comfortable, I don't know, in the second, and they were ambushed by the Broncos. And when the Broncos started surging back into the game, the Sharks fell apart. It seemed like the closer the Broncos got, the worse the Sharks got. They were making silly errors. They were missing kicks that cost them the match. Like there was a simple sitter of a kick for Trindle that he kicked out on the full, and all I can go back to is mental toughness. It's a massive concern for the sides. As you said, they're kind of the kings of these massive comebacks against them in the second half, and they're a good team when they want to be. So it has to just be down to a mental thing. And Jack, I said Hines is not a clutch player. Yeah, I can say even Trindle, you can't really look at like Hines or Trindle and say they're going to get us out of this. Which, you want one of your halves to be able to do that. They're very good if they can get out quick and stay ahead. They can kind of coast that way. But when they have to fight through adversity, they just don't know how to do it. So, yeah, interesting times for the Sharks because they need to make changes if they want to actually do something. They got Adam there. Adam's probably loving his time there when he's seen like what the Warriors and other teams he could have gone to, But yeah, Sharks have to do something, either get rid of that coach or get rid of the half, one or the other. Payne Haas top fantasy with a massive 101 of 58 minutes played. Who'd you go with?
Went Walshy. I referenced during my breakdown. Yeah, started to see some plays from some of their X Factor players. Obviously, he's the one I'm talking about. But, he just produces some plays when they're on a run like that just I think only him and that squad could produce. And I think without him, they probably don't complete that big comeback.
Yeah, it hurts me when a prop gets top points in fantasy. I went with Walsh as well. I feel sick to my stomach. But, he's lightning rod of attacking opportunities when he's in that type of mood. And that's what it was. He just started creating so many opportunities for them. And he's like the number one target you've got to shut down or knock his confidence a bit. We saw that at Go Media early in the year.
You just got to injure him early.
Yeah, injure him early and rattle his confidence, and he falls apart. So big job ahead for the Warriors this week to do that. And before we move on, Jack has said Fitz was hyped as the next super coach, but he seems unable to improve players. Yeah, you're not really seeing a lot of Sharks that you go, they're on the up. They're all kind of either fizzling out or just staying in one constant, which is disappointing, I guess, for them, but they're not our team, mate. Next game, Roosters defeating the Cowboys 42-8.
Yeah, what a hammering. 8 tries to 2. For the Roosters, Lindsay Collins, Billy Smith had 2. Connor Watson, James Tedesco, Daniel Tupou, and Mark Nwanganitawase had 2. For the Cowboys, Braden Burns, Murray Taulangi.
Yeah, dominant display from the Roosters, just a training run. Ran through the Cowboys like they weren't there. Hard to fault much from anyone playing. Backs are unstoppable, and if they can perform similar to this every week, they could be a real threat.
Yeah, awesome attacking display from the Roosters. They were all over the Cowboys from start to finish pretty much in this one. Such a capable team with attacking threats galore and a lot of talent still to come back on the sidelines as well. So they just need to find the consistency because, they're either will beater like this or dropping games to next. So if they get into a rhythm, they're going to be a team you want to avoid if they make the 8.
And your thoughts on the Cowboys?
Yeah, awful game from the Cowboys. Nothing, no way to sugarcoat it. Nothing to offer with ball in hand, and as we've come to expect, poor defense. Granted, they were missing a couple of players, but I still expect more from this Cowboys team when you look at it on paper.
add Peyton to the list with that, and looking back at the Warriors going, oh man. Nothing much to say about the Cowboys that we haven't already said in the past few weeks. Too many errors, can't defend, and ultimately they can't compete with serious teams this year. They provide next to nothing. I think I saw a stat today saying like in the last 3 or 4 weeks they've conceded over 100 points. You can't do that and expect to be good. I think Jacko said earlier that Peyton's feeling the heat. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be around by the end of the year. I think they might get rid of him. And Marky Mark top fantasy with 81 points. Who'd you go with?
Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to argue.
I went with him too. It's crazy to believe he was playing that second level sport not that long ago. He's taken to it like a duck to water over here. Why'd they let him go, Paul? Honestly. I know they couldn't pay anybody, but
he already covered that. Yeah, I guess
he was playing more sevens, wasn't he, Paul?
No, he's playing 15s.
Was he playing 15s?
No, he was playing 15s, and then I think there might have been an opportunity where because he was coming over to Lee, he got to play a bit of sevens in the gap for the Olympics, and then it wasn't a full time gig.
All right. And Jagger said, why Cows dropped Clifford is strange. They couldn't kick long at all, so they got stuck on their side of halfway. They were doing okay when they had Clifford, and then they dropped them after like a win, and they haven't been the same since. It's crazy. I don't know what Peyton's doing, but we'll move on to the final game, mate. The Spoon Bowl clash between the Eels and Titans. Eels doing what I said they would and beat the Titans 36-20.
Yeah. I had no confidence tipping either of these teams, to be fair. I just wanted to go the opposite way to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, shame on me. 6 tries to 4 for the Eels. Sean Russell, Joey Lussick, Charlie Geimer, Dean Hawkins, and Will Penasini had 2 before. Yeah, sorry, Brad. You had to exit and exiting your fantasy team. For the Titans, Jamin Jolliffe, Chris Randall, and Lofi Khan-Pereira. Standard 2 tries.
Yes, so Eels won the dreaded Spoon Bowl clash. Was a pretty close game, as we expect when it's the bottom 2 teams. Felt like the Eels always had the edge, though. Their hands and discipline did let them down, but they just kept fighting. They were good at turning the Titans' mistakes into points. There was a few tries they got just off silly mistakes from the Titans. A bit like the Tigers, I think Riles has the Eels on the right track, and they'll be a good side in 2026. And congrats on a win without Mick Moses.
Yeah, and a good one too from them. Aside from conceding the first try, they just seem to keep the Titans at arm's length in this one, and always seem to keep the upper hand. Every time the Titans would get one back, the Eels would seem to pull away again. But you're right, Brad. But they didn't have Mitch Moses, and they're normally piss poor when he's not there. But I thought they did well, and a lot of other guys step up. I like the look of Iongi at fullback. I think he's talent. I think they are heading in the right direction. Apart from what the ladder might tell you, but maybe next year.
Yeah, forgot to say, as Jagger said, there was no Brown either.
True.
So they did it without them. Your thoughts on the Titans?
Yeah, it goes to show even after a great win, you can never trust the Titans. And that's the way I should have tipped, but I didn't. The same issues present themselves week in and week out. Defense, discipline. I can't see it getting much better too. So I'm hoping they hold on to this form and at least get me one of my preseason tips right and pick up the wooden spoon.
The wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Titans just continue to flounder, mate. The early loss of Campbell didn't help their attack, but they struggled to stay in the fight in the second half. It was just the silly several errors that I said became easy points for the Eels, and they just look to be such a frustrating team for their fans to support. And as you predicted, they have to be a firm favourite for the spoon now. Junior Bolo got the top fantasy on 72. Who'd you go with?
I went Penasini. I thought he was looking really good in a couple of tries until he got some bid. Yeah, but I've always liked the look of Penasini, and he's good out on that right edge there for them. I think he'll be a cornerstone of what Rails, tries to rebuild.
Yeah, he's generally always a lock in my fantasy squad because he always gives you good points because he does the little things that fantasy likes. But I went with Dean Hawkins. It was like his time to shine, and it was a good audition to take Dylan Brown's spot for next year. He's had a couple of good games the past few weeks, but he's just got to keep it up. If he can consistently deliver, he's got a starting half spot next year. So I wanted to give him some props. And that was the round, mate. So we'll go to the ladder. I think I did top 8 last week, didn't I? Or was it you?
I think I did.
All right, so I'll take it. So Bulldogs stay first. No change. Raiders, no change either, staying second. Storm went up to third. Warriors went down to fourth. Then we got a bit of a gap before the Broncos at fifth. Sharks down to sixth. Roosters went up to seventh. And the Panthers up to eighth.
Dolphins in 9th, Manly 10th, Dragons in 11th, Cowboys 12th, Knights 13th, Tigers 14th, Eels move up to 15th, Rabbitohs down to 16th, Titans still last place. I feel like Rabbitohs are doing better than second to last.
I was just going to say that. I was I don't feel like the Rabbits are that far down.
Have they had their buys?
I think they've had at least one. Paul will probably.
Every team's had a bye so far. The Rabbits have only had one bye so far, to be fair to them.
Saying they're all the way down second to last is they're 2 points away from 9th place.
Yeah, true. Very true.
They're all the way down, but one win changes it. That's how tight. That's how tight it is from 5th down, really.
It's extremely tight, isn't it?
Yeah. If the Broncos lose to us and the Dolphins win, the Dolphins go all the way up, There's obviously teams in between that will probably win as well. But every game, as cliche as it sounds, every game really counts this year.
Two of the teams that you guys have mentioned have had had things to take away from their games when they lost. The Tigers and the Warriors. The Tigers are on the worst run of form off the back of 5 losses on the bounce. With the last 3 games, they've lost by 4 points. So they've been big club. And then the Rabbitohs are on the bounce of 4 losses on the bounce. 6 points, 25 points, 6 points, and then 1 point. So again, the Bulldogs blew them out. But those 3 games at home against the Warriors, the Bulldogs, and the Storm. They've had a tough run there with those 3.
Paul's got his burner account in the comments.
Yeah, geez, Paul. We'll see. I have to see what this union you're talking of that's better. I'm not sure. So we'll go to fantasy teams, mate. I feel like we almost should just retire this because you've done nothing but embarrass you and your family.
Skip over it.
You are the worst fantasy player I've ever seen. You got 583 points. You got a couple of big scores in there. And you've got Nico Hines in your team, which is just showing that you're in the wrong game, mate.
Mate, bring on Rugby League Live. Bring on the video game.
I had a bad game too, but I got 738. Thanks in part to Marky Mark getting that 81. He really helped me out.
If only you'd made him captain.
Yeah, but Terrell May is always a safe bet. And I expected more out of Fisher Harris. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll go to the tipping comp. So not really a lot of changes other than Richie taking his Joker, second Joker of the year, and he only got 4 games right anyway.
Yeah, no. It's never a good time when you suck at tipping.
Yeah, you shot yourself into the top 8. ACT Hellcat still number 1, Harry Poppins 2, your boy Mac 3, the Urk 4, NB Sports Fan 5th, you're up to 6th. Boy from SMB 7th, Bjorn is 8th, and I am just on the cusp of finals, mate, on 9th. Michael Bazzuto 10th, Simons is down at 11th, Roscoe 12th, and Hammer, he's still dead last. He's consistently dead last, mate. He's always last.
He's keeping his jokers up his sleeve for a big finish.
Well, Bjorn, Simon, and Hammer are the only ones who haven't used a joker yet. So, yeah, come in at the right times. So we'll go to questions now. I think we've answered everything, haven't we, Paul?
Yeah, we've answered everything as we've been going along from the chat. All
right. So, Richie, let's go with your one first.
Yep. Just wanted to dig a bit deeper into the loss on the weekend. Was that result a wake-up call for the boys? Or is it a sign of fragility and we should be worried? Might be a bit of an overreaction there from me, but
it hurts me because you were the one who encouraged me to write my reviews every week. If you'd read it, you'd have this answer ready. Just read my review.
I do read it, but I want you to tell it to the people on the camera.
Everyone else bloody read my reviews and you'll find out. No, I think it's just a wake-up call. We talked about it quite a bit already in the review. I don't think it's a sign of fragility. I don't think we need to be worried. We just need to be worried if some of the little things that went wrong in this game, if they continue, then it's time to worry. But, you know, it's their, third loss?
Yep.
Third? Third or fourth?
Fourth.
I can't remember.
Fourth. Yeah, twice to the Raiders, once
to the Raiders, the Storm, fourth.
Yep.
And after each loss, they've kind of shown a step back and an improvement. So I think you'll have a definite answer to your question on Saturday when they play the Broncos and how they perform. But I think, you know, they went into it, no Barney, no Kurt Capewell as well. I think some of that experience out probably didn't help them. But it's just a wake-up call that everything's not as easy as you want it to be. I think Webby had an interview either yesterday or today and said, you know, you've got to earn the right for these games. You don't just get everything given to you. So it's, wake-up call, humbling, if you want to call it, just to tell them, you know, everyone's loving them at the moment and they're the hot shit, but, you know, there's no such thing as an easy win in the NRL. So take it on the chin and move on. So, I think it's just a wake-up call. And, as Jago said, we're still 6 points clear of the chasing pack, just a hiccup. Yeah, it's more if this started like a 3-game losing streak and it closes it up, then I'd be concerned. But one loss to the Penrith Panthers isn't a concern. If it was the loss to the Titans, again, as I said, if the Titans did this to them, I'd be more concerned.
Losing Dylan at the weekend, are you worried about injuries and about and that side of things, and that are they kind of running out of kind of cattle in the season?
In the centres, we are, yeah.
In the centre, as harsh as it may sound, I'm not actually that concerned losing Dallin. Dallin hasn't been playing that well this year. I don't know if it's like just a confidence issue or not, but I felt they were getting more luck out of Tane Tuapiki. We'll talk about it soon. He didn't get picked though.
He's not playing this weekend.
He's not playing. But even Ed Cossey, who has come in, Ed Cossey's done all right in his chances this year as well. So I feel it's more the centres I'm concerned about. At the moment, Kurt Capewell, an aging second rower, has been our best centre this year. With Adam Pompey second. I'll put Adam Pompey just below him. And then the ones we all thought would be starting, you could put money on them not lasting 80 minutes, which has been a massive concern. I'd like the injuries to stop, but I think it's okay. It's keeping Fisher Harris, keeping Luke. Luke's been great, but I feel like if he dropped and you had Tanner Boyd in there, I think Tanner Boyd would still keep this team going. So even that's hard, but I don't want to lose Luke. But yeah, we can't lose another experienced forward. After Barney, we need to keep them healthy. My question to you, mate, with the Broncos and Panthers looking ready to climb the ladder, which team currently not in the top 4 do you think is the biggest threat to go all the way this season? So take Raiders, Bulldogs, Warriors, and Storm out of it.
Yeah. I look at, the two teams you mentioned. I look at the Broncos. They've got the side on paper to absolutely be a threat to win the comp. I just don't have faith in their culture and their consistency that they will deliver on that. So I guess it might sound super cliche, but the Panthers have been there and done that. If they get on a roll, I could not back against them.
Yeah, I'm going with the Broncos because I said the Panthers had done a few weeks, like a month ago, so I can't go back on it now. I have to live on my my.
But you can go back on it.
Okay.
Broncos.
Broncos are dangerous. It's just if they're mentally up for it. All it's going to take is one extra tough training session with Madge, and the whole team collapses again. But yeah, it's those two that I picked, and the Roosters maybe, because the Roosters are on a hell of a roll. So those are three. And two.
Dolphins.
Dolphins, I think, will make waves in the finals, but I couldn't put money on them winning the whole thing.
No.
So that's right. So
Dolphins will make waves. God, dearie me.
Yeah, it just comes to me so naturally, Paul. I didn't even notice that I did that. Sorry. The dad joke's coming out. So we'll go into the next round. We'll start with the Warriors Broncos. Suncorp Stadium for the third time this year for the Warriors. 5 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. So you want to take us down the Warriors team?
I can, absolutely. And that's no worry because we own Suncorp Stadium.
We do. It is our home ground.
Yeah. Fullback, CNK. Ed Cossey comes in onto the wing to replace Dallin. Roger Tuivasa checks the other wing. Centers, Adam Pompey and Rocco Berry makes a very timely return. Halves, Chanel Harris-Tavita, Luke Metcalf. Front row, James Fisher-Harris, Marata Niokore, Wade Egan. Back row, Kurt Capewell, Jacob Laban, Aaron Clark at lock. Interchange, Tamati Martin, Jacko Ford, Dimitri Vaimonga, Leka Halasima. Extended bench, Tanner Dale Smith, Tanner Boyd, Sam Healy, Bunty Afua, Tane Tuapiki.
You happy with the squad?
For the most part, yeah. I thought Tane might come straight into the wing to sort of pick up where he left off. I don't know if he's still feeling the effects of what happened to him a couple of weeks ago, with the being knocked out. Other than that, I think that side pretty much picks itself based on what we got available.
Yeah, it's similar to what I picked in my review when I was previewing this game. I think it's exactly how I had it, except Tuapiki for Cossey. So, that was the only change I did. And Capewell was either centre or second row, depending on if Berry was available. And we're just going to see if Berry can last. The positive this time, if a centre goes down, you can move Capewell there and move Leka into the second row without it disrupting, like last week when they brought Tamati Martin in at centre. We'll go on to that Broncos team. Fullback, Reece Walsh. Wingers, Jesse Arthurs and Josiah Karapani. Centres, Katoni Staggs and Giamat Sabuski. Halves, Ezra Mam, Adam Reynolds. Front row of Corey Jensen, Corey Pax and Payne Haas. Second row, Brendan Piakora and Jordan Rickey. And lock, Pat Carrigan. Billy Walters, Kobe Hetherington, Xavier Wilson, and Jack Gowiski on the bench. Decent Broncos team. It has me worried. Jacko said Cossey's been playing great in Cup, soon to another chance. Yeah, and he's, as I said earlier, he's been great every time he's played first grade this year too. And a daytime game will suit the Bronx. Will be a tough grind game. Need to get them into the grind. Haas and Carrigan look buggered to me. Need the week off. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. Wrap up the second phase, and the Warriors can do this. I'm back in the Warriors. I feel like they're going to bounce back, and we've got Reece Walsh's number, baby. He's been cursed since that forward pass of the finals against the Warriors. Every game since then he's played, he's had something go wrong. It's tough. Admittedly, I'm making some bold calls, future spoilers for when we go through, because I need to get past you in the tips as well. And you're not as brave as me. So.
Well, it's not so bold. I mean, we're sitting in the top 4.
Come on, it's bold.
Okay, so last week I tipped the Warriors and we lost. So based on my superstitious nature, I'm going to tip Broncos.
So we can win.
I appreciate your sacrifice.
Thank you.
The TAB agrees with you there, Richie. $1.57 for the Broncos, $2. Quite.
Is that Paul gone or me?
I thought it was me.
Oh, so it's just Paul. Okay, cool. I was just saying silent because
great silence.
Dead ear is awesome. So we'll just let Paul sit there frozen. Because if we can hear each other, it means we're still going good. Hopefully, all of you can still hear us.
He looks stumped.
Yeah, he does look confused. But yeah, I think Warriors are paying like $2.50.
Yeah.
I can't control his screen, so I can't go onto the fixtures. He's left us. He's left us now. He's gone.
Tips. Let's do the tips.
Hold on.
Please do something.
Hold on.
No pressure.
He's coming back. Is he back?
Sorry,
Paul,
my internet is dropping out a couple of times this evening. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's all good. We both thought that it was us, so we're just sitting here quiet.
Oh no, so it's me. Sorry guys. I was saying on the so I gave you the odds there that I tried to anyway. That the Brisbane Broncos are at $1.57, so the TAB has them as favourites, and the Warriors on at $2.40.
Oh, so I was close. See, I guessed and said $2.50. So it was close. And Jacob said silence is golden. I think most people would prefer us not to talk anyway, so sitting in silence is probably better.
Doesn't make good podcasting though. I mean,
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. But sometimes you need a moment of silence to reflect, Paul. So it's what we did. So we'll go to the rest of the round, starting on Thursday. Panthers Bulldogs. I'm going with Panthers.
Oh, that's a banger of a game, isn't it?
Yeah. Panthers are going to chop the Bulldogs down and let the Raiders catch up.
All right, Brad. This is the round where we really separate from each other. I'll go Bulldogs.
Yeah, we're going for broke here, mate. I'm going.
And the TAB again agrees with Richie at $1.73. The Panthers, even off the back of that win, are underdogs at $2.10, but closer than you probably would have thought a week ago.
Yeah, I wish the TAB would back me a bit more, considering how much money I donate to them. But that's what it is. Friday night we have Manly versus Tigers. I've gone with Manly, but I wanted to go Tigers. But I felt like I've made a few too many other calls in this week.
Mate, this is a genuine coin toss, I reckon.
Yeah, I feel like the Tigers could do it because Manly are imploding, Paul.
Well, what? Yeah, what's surprising about that, Paul?
What the losing streak the Tigers are on?
The Tigers on a 5-game losing streak.
Oh yeah, but Manly are stinking the joint out too.
Yeah, every loss is another step closer to a win, Paul.
To be fair, the Manly. Okay, they've on a 2-game losing streak. They've had a week off to prepare for this one. And maybe only 2 wins out the last 5. Yeah, Manly have been up and down at the best.
Manly at home, I think Tommy Turbo might give them something decent, so that's why I've edged them on this. But
Okay, give me Manly. You talk me into it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be putting money on this game. Let's just
No,
say.
no, definitely not.
Next game on Friday, Knights Raiders. I've gone Raiders. Knights had a great game back, but Raiders are building nicely. So
Raiders, yeah, that's clear cut.
And the TB agrees with you there that the Raiders $1.42, the Knights $2.90. That is not the strongest favourites of the weekend, though.
then we have Broncos Warriors, where we both went one way or the other. Next game, Dragons Eels. I've gone
Give
Eels.
me the Dragons. Give me the Dragons.
Eels have got this Dragons team, mate.
Got a spike Brad here. Dragons.
A net coach, a net half. There's no way the Dragons going to win this, mate.
I don't know where your confidence is coming from. The TAB is with Richie again at $1.67, whereas the Eels are at $2.20.
It's a pure hatred. Pure hatred of the Dragons.
I wish the TAB would agree with me when I do my tips.
Yeah. Jacko reckons that the Eels are on the up.
They are.
They did get the win, and they had 3 wins out of the last 5, whereas I'm trying to find the Dragons. I can't. Oh, there they are. Admittedly, they're coming off the back of 2 losses as well. Before that, they did beat Brisbane and Newcastle, so they have had 2 wins out of the last 4 games.
The Dragons have got a coach that's letting his son that's not a professional footballer be the halfback. Ain't going to happen. It's crazy. It's like if my dad bought a team and decided to make me the halfback.
Moving on.
Okay, final game on Saturday. Dolphins, Rabbits. I've gone Dolphins.
Dolphins bounce back.
Yeah, the Dolphins is $1.57. The Rabbits at $2.40 here on this one. And yeah, with the Rabbits being down there, you makes sense.
Then on Sunday, Storm Sharks. Storm
are out for revenge. Yeah, Sharks beat them a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
but the Sharks have gone to trash since that game,
and they're playing in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I talked about the Raiders having were up against the obviously the second shortest favourites of the weekend. The Raiders sat in second in the table against Newcastle Knights, sat in 13th with the worst defence in the league. So the worst attack in the league. Now here we have the Storm in third, admittedly at home rather than being away, and the Sharks in 6th. And the Storm are $1.35. The Sharks are $3.25. This is shorter odds between 5th and 6th, i.e. teams next to each other in the table, is the shortest odds of the round, not between 2nd and 13th. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah, why at the moment, I'd say the Knights are a better team than the Sharks at the moment.
Yeah, probably just more of an indication of the Sharks' form.
Yeah, they've fallen off a cliff. They're in deep water, Paul. The Sharks are in deep water, and they're not doing well.
To be, I mean, look, they have lost 3 out of the last 4 games. They were on a 3-game winning streak before that, though.
Yeah. And then the final game, Titans versus Cowboys. I've gone with Cowboys. Cowboys have been trash, so are the Titans, and I think the Cowboys are going to have to do something, so I'm picking them here. Man, I'm more confident in the Warriors being the Broncos than the Cowboys over the Titans. But
I'm not letting the Titans hurt me again. Cowboys.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys are on a 3-game losing streak coming into this one, having won only 1 out of their last 7 games. Up against the Titans, who they won 2 games ago. So interesting. The Titans are the TB agrees with you, $1.70, whereas the Gold Coast Titans are on $2.15 even at home. So even up against a team that is on a losing streak, that one's a bit of a coin flip, I think.
Yeah, and Jacko made a good point. Deep water, they're floundering in the shallows. That was the better analogy to you. I apologize. It was right there, and I didn't grab it. Sharks prefer the deep water. Crazy. I apologize. Anything else you guys want to add before we let everyone go?
No.
No,
Not really.
nothing?
Thanks, everybody.
All right. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on the Stand Up with Brad and Richie. For your weekly update on rugby league, tune into our show next Wednesday at 8 p.m. here on Facebook or YouTube. Just remember, search for New Zealand Sport Radio. Cheers again for joining me, Richie, and thanks, Paul, for your help in the background. And good night, everyone.